Hey there, it's Elizabeth O'Brien from Grammar Revolution. And here we are today on this, what is the day today? It's Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Today, right now, David took the kiddos to a park and they are kayaking around, and then I will go and pick them up in a little while. It's pretty warm here in Minnesota today, so it's a great day to be out on the water. And I can't wait to join them at some point in the future. I haven't been out in a kayak yet this year, so I'm excited about that. Today, I thought we would go over something that is more of a basic grammar question. We've kind of been looking at like nitty-gritty little examples of language, and I thought it would be fun today to kind of zoom back a little bit and look at some big picture stuff. And what I'd like to talk about are phrases and clauses. And right now behind me here, I'm just on the Grammar Revolution website. And I wish, see, my video covers up the navigation that I'm going to, so sorry about that. But let's see, I'm gonna go to the basics and I'm gonna go to phrases. We're gonna talk about phrases and clauses. So I like to think of it, as you can see here, I have on the page, phrases are units of language. So I like to think about language as being made up of different units. So there are words, you know what a word is already, probably. There are phrases and there are clauses. Again, you know what words are. And let's talk about what phrases are. Phrases are groups of words. So a phrase contains more than one word, but all of the words together function, they do the job of one part of speech. So all of the words in a phrase are doing one function. They're working together to be an adjective or an adverb. And I'll show you more what that means in a little while. The other important thing about phrases is that they do not contain both a subject and a verb. Now, the wording on this, the way to describe what phrases are, that can be confusing sometimes for people. And what that means is a phrase doesn't have a subject and verb. So if you have a group of words that contains a subject and a verb, it's not a phrase. That is a clause. And let's just go to the page about clauses. Right now I'm going under the basics and I'm going to clauses. Okay, what are clauses? Clauses are groups of words with a subject and a verb. And you can see in this little example here, I have two sentences. For examples, I have I drink coffee and whenever I drink coffee. And this little image, this little graphic, is pointing out that there are two categories, two kind of main ways that we can divide clauses. There are independent clauses and there are dependent clauses. I am going to tell you a little bit more about how these work, and we'll, look at the difference between these and how they all work together. Let's go to this broccoli example. Okay, I will eat my broccoli now. We are going to look at 3 sentences, and in these sentences, I am going to show you the difference between an independent clause, a dependent clause, and then you'll see how a word, a phrase, and a dependent clause can all be related. I'll show you. Let's check it out. I'm gonna go over here. And I'm going to have, let's see, let's do spinach because I'm really into spinach right now. I don't know, it's just really good and I feel like Popeye every time I eat spinach. So let's see. I will eat spinach. Oops. Now, okay, I'm gonna do 3 sentences. I will eat spinach now. I will eat spinach after lunch. And I will eat spinach. Look how similar this is gonna be after. Now you maybe not, can't see this behind the video, after I eat. Okay, I'm gonna show you diagram these and we'll look at words, phrases, and clauses. Let's start with the first sentence. I will eat, hey, guess what? That's a phrase. It's made up of two words, will and eat. And it does not have a subject and a verb. It has a verb. Eat and will are verbs, but there's no subject. And both of the words are coming together to do the job of one part of speech, a verb. So this is a phrase. It's called a verb phrase. Okay, I will eat. What will I eat? Spinach. So we know, if you've been studying verb types with me and everything, or gone through the Get Smart Grammar program, you know that this is a transitive active verb. This is the direct object. And now this is a word, and it tells us when we're going to eat. When are we going to eat the spinach? Now. So this modifies will eat, and it is an adverb. And I like to make my adverbs green. All right. So here's what I want to point out. Now is a word. We know it's a word, right? And it's an adverb. It's telling us more about the verb. And this whole thing up here is a clause. It does contain a subject and a verb. It has the subject I, and the verb is will eat. Now, isn't it interesting that right within the base line here of this clause, there's also a phrase, because the verb is a verb phrase. So just wanted to point that out. This right up here, this is what we call an independent clause. The whole thing, it's an independent clause. That means that it can stand alone. It doesn't need to be connected to anything. It's not modifying anything. It's not an important part of some other sentence. It can stand all by itself. So this is an independent clause. It's a group of words that has a subject and a verb. That means it's a clause, and it's an independent clause because it can stand all by itself. Now let's look at this next one. I have the same base sentence. I will eat spinach. I'm gonna get these guys down here. Eat spinach. Okay, now look at what we have. After and lunch. What are these words here? Well, in this sentence, the word after, that's something called a preposition, and lunch is a noun. And these two words right here are forming a phrase. This is a prepositional phrase. And let's see if it meets the definition of a phrase. Does it contain a group of words? Is it more than one word? Yes, we have after and we have lunch. And are the two words working together to perform one job, one function in the sentence? Yes. These two words, after lunch, are working together to tell us when I will eat the spinach. So these two words, I'm going to put them under here, are also acting as adverbs. So look at, this was a single word acting as an adverb. When will I eat my spinach? Now. This is a phrase acting as an adverb. When will I eat my spinach? After lunch. We can tell it's a phrase because it's more than one word, and it's doing the job of one part of speech, and it does not contain a subject and a verb. All right, on to our last sentence here. Again, we have the same base sentence. I will eat spinach. Put this one down here. Okay, what will I eat? There's my direct object. Now, after I eat lunch. Ooh. Here we have the word after, and here we have the word after. But look at this. There are different things after the word after. Here, we just had a noun after the word after. Oh, shoot. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing because my video might be over it. I'm sorry if that's the case. You know what? Maybe I'll make myself smaller. Beep. Okay. I hope that you can see now what I'm talking about. After I eat lunch. This is what we're looking at right here. Over here, after, we just had after followed by a noun. Here we have after followed by, guess what? A subject. That would be a noun or a pronoun like I, and a verb. So what does that make this group of words? A clause. Let me diagram that and then we'll talk about it. After, this is, in this sentence, this is something called a subordinated conjunction. So notice that words, wow, I'm having that thing right now where when you stare at a word, it just looks like it makes no sense and it's a super weird spelling. That's what I'm having with after right now. Anyway, This is a good example that you have to look at how the word is functioning in a sentence before you can say what it is. So if we just said, hey, what's the word after? You would say, well, it could be a preposition. It could be a subordinating conjunction. You have to see what it's doing in this sentence. And indeed, you can see here in this sentence, it was a preposition. In this one, it's a different part of speech. Notice that it's on this dotted line. That's how we diagram what are called subordinating conjunctions. If you don't know all the terminology, no problem. That is just fine, because that's not the main thing I'm showing you about right now. Okay, after I eat lunch. There. Now I am going to make this whole thing green. And this is what I wanted you to see. Here we have a word functioning as an adverb. Here we had a phrase functioning as an adverb. And here, what this thing is right here, you can tell that it's not a phrase because it has a subject and a verb. So that must mean that this thing right here is a clause. And this thing right here is called a dependent adverb clause. Notice up here, we have what we were talking about before. On all of these horizontal lines for all of these sentences, the top line, I will eat spinach, that's an independent clause. It can stand all by itself. It doesn't need anything with it. It's independent. This right down here, this is what we call a dependent clause. After I eat lunch. If you just say after I eat lunch, people will be wondering what after you eat lunch. This is a dependent clause. It needs to be connected to an independent clause, and the whole thing is functioning together to perform the job of an adverb. You could say, when will I eat spinach? After I eat lunch. All of these things in green answer the question when. When is what we call an adverb question. Here's a word that's an adverb. Here's a phrase that's an adverb. And here is a clause that's an adverb. So dependent clauses do the job of one part of speech. Phrases do the job of one part of speech. Words do the job of one part of speech. Independent clauses do not function as single parts of speech. They are the things that all of these things would need to be connected to in order to make sense. So that's just a little crash course today in words and phrases and clauses. And I have a couple other ideas for what I can share with you a little later. But if you have questions about this, feel free to let me know. And I hope that this was helpful. I'll see you later. Bye.